So thank you all for being here. I mean, art cannot survive without a community, so thank you for being that community. I really appreciate you guys being here. Abby, thank you so much. I mean, supporting local art is amazing. You're an amazing person, amazing curator, an amazing friend. So thank you so much. Big thanks to my family who's not here today, but none of this could have happened without their love and support. I am a teacher, and when I'm not teaching, I'm doing this. And they give me a lot of love and support and a lot of feedback too. But that's great. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about my story, a little about my history, where I came from. I'm going to talk about Neon Arcade, where that concept kind of came from. And then I'm going to talk about a couple paintings. But today is the first day of school, and I've been teaching all day, so I would love it to be more of a conversation. What questions you have, what memories you have. I mean, doing these things for a few years now, that's kind of the best part about it, is learning things about Colorado Springs that I didn't know, being a native, and hearing those stories. So that's the fun stuff. So I am a Colorado Springs native. I've always loved art and music. I've always had a pencil, brush in my hand. When I was younger, I really wanted to be an illustrator. I wanted to be making comic book art. And then I got to high school, at Palmer High School, and I had Floyd Tunson as my teacher. And he blew up my world with pop art, and that was it. So before, my things that I looked towards were Calvin and Hobbes, Bloom County. They became replaced by Andy Warhol, Claes Oldenburg, James Rosenquist, and of course Basquiat. So yeah, I mean, and then from then on, it was nothing but fine art. He told me how to elevate stuff. That really changed my world. I went to college in Illinois, so I went away for 4 years. There it was mostly classical. So we looked at Rembrandt, Poussin, Caravaggio, those kinds of things, and we really worked on the classical method. So you can see often in my work, it's pop art, but it's also classically based. So I kind of married those two ideas. After college, I didn't really do anything. I was like, I'm going to be an artist, right? No. And I didn't paint for 10 years. Took some time off, and I eventually went back to school, got a master's in teaching for elementary ed, and became a 4th grade teacher. I don't teach art. And currently I'm at Stratton Elementary, and I teach 3rd grade. And today was the first day. It's great. It was awesome. It was awesome. It's great to have some new kids. Last year I taught 4th grade, this year 3rd grade, so it was great. Let's see. So about 10 years after teaching, I felt like there was something missing. It's like, I need to do some art. So I made a space in my garage, and I started on this art journey, started making art. And I just haven't looked back. Like, people ask me, do I paint in the summer? I really paint during the school year because I'm like itching to get into my studio. In the summer, I'm kind of like, I have to make my own schedule. But in the school year, I'm really itching to get into the studio. I'll talk a little bit about Neon Arcade. Arcade came from an idea I've had for years. I've talked to Abby about this idea for years, and just the arcade has always spoke to me. The history of the arcade itself, and then the history within the arcade. How long games have been there, where they've came from, where they started. And they just scream pop art to me. They're bright colors, crisp lines. And when I was a kid, I always went to the Penny Arcade in Manitou. And now I go with my own kids, and we make our own memories. So the arcade has always been something I'm very interested in. Another one of my influences in life was my grandfather. And he was an iron worker. And he would come over on Saturdays and have my mom's to-do list and fix things in my house. And I would follow him around fixing things. But really, I wasn't interested in him fixing things because I knew he could do it. What I was interested in was how he did it. Duct tape, baling wire, spare parts. It was an art, and that kind of really energized me in neon signs. I love the way they work. I love the nuts and the bolts and all of those things. So the Neon Arcade kind of put those together. Neon signs, I used to paint them at night with the bright colors and stuff, and that's great. But really what I focused recently on was painting them during the day, because you can see how they work. You can see the lines, you can see the shadows, you can see the shapes. And when I first started painting neon signs, I used to fix them like my grandfather fixed things. And I recently started going, no, that's part of their story, that's part of their history. So I've left it all. There is one exception in the room, though, and maybe you can find it. So I leave them the way they are. Yeah. A couple paintings that I want to talk about. First is Michelle's. This was actually one of the first ones I started. My last show, I ended with a big painting. I was like, I can't do that. I have to start with a big painting. And I've had pictures of Michelle forever. And when I started to do this painting, I was like, I got to get a couple more shots. And I went down there, and it was gone. I had this great idea of getting like a tripod and putting it up really high and taking some pictures, but it was gone. And then I heard the story about it, if you don't know, it getting stolen. And I was like, well, now I have to absolutely paint it. And I didn't fix it. All the holes, all the broken bulbs, they're all there. But that's one that's really, I spent the most time on because I started it first, and I would work on another painting. I'd work on this, then I'd always come back to this. So that one is special to me in that way. The other painting I want to talk about, which is kind of is the Donkey Kong painting. This actually started everything. This was like 3 years ago in the pandemic. And I was homebound and I was teaching kids, and I was frustrated beyond belief. Teaching 18 years in the classroom, and then all of a sudden I had to do it on the web. I couldn't do it. And it was really frustrating. So that painting during COVID was me like finding some joy, finding some fun. And that just kind of started everything. I was like, I want everything to be like that. And then the Mario movie came out, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So all of my work is based in photography. All these photos I've taken, which is fun because I usually don't seek out places when I take photos. So what I mean is I don't go to the arcade just to take photos. I go to hang out with my family, and if I'm inspired, I take photos. Kind of always been that way. Like this one, my daughter was playing with it, so I edited her out. But all of these paintings are of when we've hung out at the arcade, or when we've just been around town looking at signs. So, and I think that's it. Things. Would love questions, stories, anything you have to add.
Have you seen the new sign that's for Michelle?
Munchies?
Yeah, they did it in that design.
They did, which I thought was very clever.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no, I love it, for sure. Yeah, I mean, to me, like those old signs, like if you read on history of neon sign, really had a hard time after a while in New York City. It got banned. Like people thought it was disgusting. And then now it's kind of got a little bit of a resurgence, which is great.
I liked it as a fine art medium. I saw a show at Phoenix, Arizona one time where it's an abstract painting, but it just had a squiggle of neon through it. And I was like, I want that, or I want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, these aren't just nostalgia. They're not just memories. I'm trying to put this beautiful craftsmanship on a pedestal because it's just so beautiful the way that they can do that. And I mean, if you know anything about neon, double neon is incredibly hard to match those curves. So it's just amazing. Chris?
So are you often distracted when you're traveling? Because I know I am.
Yeah.
Like I'm driving down the road and I see an old pickup in a field, and it's almost like if I have to be somewhere, it's so hard to not slam on the brakes and stuff.
Absolutely. And in a lot of these pictures, like I'll take out the car window, my wife's driving, I'm like, hold on, slow down, take the snap, and then maybe I'll come back around. But usually that first picture for me is like, that's it. I could go back and pose and take some time, and it doesn't look as good as like the quick snap for me. I don't know why, but yeah.
So I wanted to make a comment, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
When I look at your work, it reminds me of the movie Rain Man.
You were telling me that.
It's just wonderful,
Yeah.
It's like just taking pictures of all these random things, and each one of the pictures is just so cool,
Yeah.
So I just want to, let's go on a road trip.
Let's do it. Absolutely. Yeah. Sounds good. I got the beer. Yeah.
Can you describe a little bit about, so Chris talked about how from the canvas and palette and so on and so forth, this artistic process. So can you just talk briefly about that?
Sure. I used to paint by 3x5 pictures, and now I do the computer because I can go and get really deep in there and paint every single little thing, and I love that. So I start with the picture. I usually take a ton of pictures, and then I organize them in my Google Drive by theme, and I have them forever. And when a show comes up, I'm like, where am I going with my thoughts on things? And I have like themes in there, and I look in there and find stuff. Prepping the canvas, Utrecht gesso is where I start. I buy pre-made canvases. I used to make them all because Floyd taught me how to do all those crazy things, but they're so heavy. I do pre-made ones, but I like to gesso them because I really like a smooth surface. I re-gesso them, and then get the drawing in. And then the first thing I always do is put this kind of burnt sienna wash on there. So that's the classical, that's the Rembrandt. And then I usually do blue tones on top of that, getting the darks. And then I've also started taking, it's Winsor Newton's, the only one that makes it. It's called Blue Black. It's kind of my little secret. It's what's that? It's the dark. So I'll do the blue is like the middle, and then the black is like the dark. And then I paint really thin compared to Chris. I do like lots of washes on top of washes. So to me, it's color on top of color on top of color. Like I know where I'm going, but I have to build it to get there. I'm doing a painting of Pikes Peak right now. And I started with the wrong color, but I know what's going to go on top of it to make it that. So.
And I just want to say, it's like, I really like the way you flush. Like that's just something that I'm not good at. And it's brilliant.
Thank you. I'm kind of scared of thick paint. Like this was like the first time, well, not the first time, but one of the most recent times that I really used a lot of thick paint. In college, we were given 6, 7 colors, and that was it. And now I'm like, I can use anything I want. And so I did. And so I got every single color out and just slapped it all over there. Yeah. It's fun to break the rules. Yeah.
Story and then 2 questions. So
Perfect.
The story is size driving was my first job at 14 in 1988 as a cook. So
Nice.
That was, I think, is that one of the ones you changed? Their sign is blown out.
You got it. You got it.
I drive by it all the time.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I find probably a lot of people read their own stories and based on their experience.
Yeah.
So questions would be, do you find that this is the graphic designer in me that typography is harder to work with because type is typically so meticulous?
Yes. It's horrible. I'm growing to love it because it's part of it. But when I started out, I was like, now I have to do the letters. And I'm a teacher, and handwriting's part of it, right? Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. Hi.
Thank you for documenting our childhood.
Yeah.
All of this is how we grew up together, so our childhood. One quick comment that just popped in my head. Colorado Springs has a really tragic history of erasing its history.
Right.
So like there's the Cotton Club, which has got parking lot in it. So this I think is really important to that with Michelle's as well. Which
Yeah.
I just drove by and saw them sign today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is equal parts wonderful and sad, but they paid them money, but it's also gone.
Yeah.
So that's just sort of like, thank you for documenting these really cool, not so mundane aspects of our hometown. I wanted to ask though, like, from a distance, everything was tight. Your painting is tight, but I get up close, and I know you well enough, but I get close and I see lots of loose painting, where it's kind of a scribble, or it's kind of imprecise.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how I paint. What I really appreciate, like, just kind of sloppy painting. Where's that line where you decide to go from tight, specific detail to loose? What's the thought process?
I mean, I think it really comes from Cezanne. And if you go and see Cezanne like this close, you can see his search, you can see his pencils, you can see where he moved lines and things like that. So I don't want to pretend that this is not a painting. It's a painting. So I leave things loose. But I definitely want you, when you get back, go, that's it. That's it. So it's kind of that balance, right? Like you could do photorealism and do it really slick and not have any of the artist in it. But I think it's really important to have the artist there. So, yeah.
I just want to thank you for a very serendipitous circumstance where we were just finished at Sushi Row. This is our son who lives in New York City now.
Oh, okay.
27, almost 28, here visiting us for the week.
Nice.
At Sushi Row. I'm like, oh, Chris has this really cool show with these,
Yeah.
paintings. Like, I don't think it'll be open, so let's walk down. And then the door was open, and then we came over here.
Perfect.
And Chris and I, before we were married and thought was 3, we went to Michelle's all the time, and it's just such a part of our history.
Yeah.
And we took our engagement photos at the Penny Arcade in the photo booth.
Oh, did you? That's
yeah.
awesome.
And so it just feels really special to be in this room with all of them and to be here.
That's awesome. When I was in high school, senior year, you're allowed to bring in whatever photo you want. And my mom went and got me great photos. I went to the Penny Arcade and took my own photo. She was so mad.
Oh, we took senior photos of the Penny Arcade. That's right.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's not Colorado Springs, but have you been to Lakeside with the family in Denver to take pictures?
No, I need to explore Denver. Yeah. I've just kind of started spreading out. Like I did a show this summer in Aspen, and it was more Colorado based. So I'm like, when we go places, I see stuff, and I'm like, love that. And especially if like it's someone in the car or someone I know is related to that area and can tell me a story about it, then I'm good. So I'm starting to, yeah.
Lakeside is amazing, and it's equal parts scary and nostalgic.
Right.
You're like, I might die here, but this is amazing.
yeah, totally. Equal parts fun. One thing I didn't talk about is my gouaches. With each show, I like try to up my ante, try to push myself a little bit further. I've painted neon before, but I never had used this medium in like a formal place. So I really wanted to challenge myself trying to use gouache to do some smaller works. The nice thing is they're faster, they're thin, that's my deal, but you can also make them thicker. So that's been really fun to work on too.